This is Snake. Do you read me, Otacon?
Loud and clear, Snake.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Metal Gear Solid and its sequels are some of the greatest and most influential games in video game history. This is a series that never loses its relevance due to its topics on war, nuclear deterrence, child soldiers, and the many atrocities still prominent in today's world.
But war is ugly. There's nothing glamorous about it.
To this day, Kojima's Metal Gear Solid games remain some of the few that dare to say anything substantial about our world's military-industrial complex. It all began in 1987 for the MSX2 home computer in Japan by none other than the voice of God himself, Hideo Kojima, beginning the legendary story of Super Soldier Solid Snake as he foils a mercenary group's plans to control a mechanized weapon of mass destruction.
A nuclear-equipped walking battle tank.
Metal Gear.
While its sequel was just as successful, it wasn't until Solid was added to the end of its title and 3D polygons were introduced that the series blew up with popularity. Metal Gear Solid in 1998 for the PlayStation 1 revolutionized the industry in not only graphics and gameplay, but storytelling and voice acting. A somewhat foreign concept today, but voice acting back in the 90s for video games were, let's be generous and say, not very good.
What is this?
Stop it! Don't open that door!
What is it?
What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all.
Here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with.
This was the game that broke the mold and made us want more from this medium we all love. Fast forward 25 years, and many sequels and prequels later, we have the release of the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, Volume 1. Quite a mouthful. It includes the games all the way from the original 1987 Metal Gear through 2004's Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. So you get the original 2 Metal Gears from the MSX2, Metal Gear Solid from the PlayStation, and its 2 sequels, Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty and Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater from the PlayStation 2. As an added bonus, you also get game guides, a sound selection of music from the series, and the motion comics, the Metal Gear Solid digital graphic novel, and Metal Gear Solid 2 Bande Dessinée as bonuses.
But wait! There's more!
Then, there are additional bonuses like the NES versions of the original Metal Gear and its non-canonical sequel Snake's Revenge, the graphic novel adaptations of Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and the extra Metal Gear Solid releases containing extra content like VR missions from Metal Gear Solid 1 and the substance and subsistence content from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Now, would I have liked to somehow see them magically port the GameCube remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 The Twin Snakes to this collection? You bet your ass I would. I'm in the minority here, but I'm one of the few and far between that actually prefers that game to the original Metal Gear Solid. Now, in terms of visuals, the Master Collection of Metal Gear Solid 1 is also virtually unchanged from the original release, still displaying natively in a 4:3 aspect ratio with a blocky PS1 textures that means Snake still has an expressionless blank face. You can choose to align your display area to the left, right, or center of the screen, and there's multiple wallpapers and borders you can choose to fill in the blank areas of the screen. Just, kind of like the PSN version on PS3. So you have options for modifying the smaller aspect ratio to suit your preference. There's also a nice little touch where in a certain boss fight in the original, they would read your memory card and comment on certain game saves you may have. To give you this similar experience, Konami included the option to create dummy save data from a range of Konami PS1 games like Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Vandal Hearts to sit on your virtual memory card, so you can have a little giggle during one of its best fourth wall breaking cutscenes.
You like Castlevania, don't you?
Now, when it comes to the versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 that have also been included in this collection, which are kind of a good example of how you can remaster and update classics while keeping true to the original vision, these 2 games are both based on the HD remasters from Bluepoint, released in 2011 for the PS3 and Xbox 360. Although Konami hasn't upgraded them to support newer features like 4K, they hold up just fine on a modern television. Accessing all of this content is a little convoluted, however, because the collection isn't assembled in one convenient place. Instead, each game has to be downloaded separately and exist as its own app, independent of the rest. While this is nice for anyone wanting to save hard drive space and only install certain games, I was hoping for a more robust version of what the Legacy Collection gave us on PS3. But playing on PS5, both Metal Gear Solid 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3 output at 1080p and run at 60 frames per second, and they include the additional features, present in the Substance and Subsistence versions of those games. That means in Snake Eater, you can play with the original fixed camera as seen in Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, or the much improved third-person camera, which gives you full control over the right analog stick. If Metal Gear Solid 1 changed the industry, then Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 solidified its place as one of the greatest video game franchises of all time. Now, onto the crux of the argument. Should you buy the Master Collection Volume 1? Well, that depends. Do you own the Legacy Collection on PS3? Do you own the HD collection of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3? Do you own a digital copy of Metal Gear Solid 1 or the superior GameCube remake, The Twin Snakes? If so, I'd probably still say yes, just to play these all on one console, because I guarantee with the release of Volume 2, containing Peace Walker, Ground Zeroes, Metal Gear Solid 5, and hopefully the forever PS3 exclusive Metal Gear Solid 4, to own all these games on a singular modern console would be a dream come true for hardcore fans. Now, 25 years on, I think the core Metal Gear Solid trilogy titles remain three of the greatest action-adventure games ever made. They not only push the boundaries to the kind of cinematic storytelling that these games are capable of, but open my eyes to the harsh realities of war and its economy on the world, to fake news, to misinformation, to echo chambers. Metal Gear Solid 2 in particular predicted what the world would look like 20 years before it happened. Just look up the most profound moment in game history if you want to have your mind blown. These games really make you sit and think of how accurate they were, not just for the times they were made, but still ring true even today, perhaps even more so. The Metal Gear Solid series is one of my favorite, if not my favorite video game franchise of all time. In terms of storytelling and characters, to voice acting and off-the-wall hilarious moments, these games are irreplaceable and can never be emulated. Kojimbo created lightning in a bottle, and he managed to capture it again and again and again and again. Time will tell if Konami can do the same without him behind the wheel. I mean, they already messed up with Metal Gear Survive, but the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is a good place for them because they aren't changing anything, even to the point of not re-recording the voice actors and just using the original audio. Maybe that's the best thing Konami can do with this series. Just make all the older games with modern graphics and a few gameplay enhancements, and leave the amazing world and characters Kojima and his staff created alone. Maybe, just maybe, the best is yet to come.